Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of Absolutely Understood Spoiler Reviews. Today, Angel and I are going to do a deep dive into Wonder Woman. We really need to buy a soundboard. That was pretty good, Angel.
I tried.
So yeah, we're gonna go and touch on a few things that we think were standouts, and a couple things that we think they could have done better. We couldn't do it better, but they're professionals.
Yeah, and that's what we're here to talk about.
Yes,
just what hit us and what didn't, and some of it lines up perfectly, and some of it is very different. So, with that being said, let's just get right into it.
Let's get to it.
So the first thing we're going to talk about is this opening sequence on Themyscira. This includes, her
and from
as
here
a
on
little
out,
girl.
I am going to call it the island.
The island.
Because Themyscira. I'm going to mess that up too many times.
So we see Wonder Woman as a little girl, growing up, learning how to train, all the way up to Chris Pine getting there. This is a good chunk of the first act. I would say basically the whole first act. And I think it was really good. It was really entertaining, and it gave us her origin, or what we're led to believe is her origin, and we get a great fight scene on the beach. So I think this act is probably the strongest for me from start to finish. If we had to break it up into three pieces, I would say this one is the strongest.
This was definitely Act 1. This is where they start tying it all together, and where she meets Chris Pine's character, Steve Trevor. But yeah, it had a little bit of everything. It was where we were introduced to and kind of get the storyline, the back not back storyline, but the back history of
the Amazon.
Why they're kind of in hiding from the rest of the world. We find out there that at one point they were, they kind of worked with mankind.
Yeah, they were like the protectors.
They were the protectors. Zeus created them for that purpose. But at some point, the protector, mankind kind of turned on them, and they always attributed that to, I think, Ares, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So they, Ares, Ares is we don't see him till the end of this movie. We know he plays a role, at least in their mythology.
Yeah, he's for most of the movie up until the last act, he's just like this abstract villain that we're fighting. He's just a thing that's out there, and we need to just be prepared for when he comes back. And then when we find evidence, when Steve Trevor comes on and tells them about this great war that's happening, the Queen Hippolyta is very trepidatious about accepting it. She thinks Ares is dead. She's not
a very good queen. She's very timid and just afraid and not doing her job.
Yeah,
if Zeus was still around, she'd be fired, I think.
Yeah, probably. I think it would have been better if Robin Wright's character was queen. But I can understand, as a queen, you want to protect her. And Tippy.
And Tippy. Not Auntie Tippy, which I thought throughout the whole movie that her name was, like, they were calling her Aunt Tippy.
Yeah, exactly.
No, her full name is Aunt Tippy.
Yeah, which was a shock to me. I didn't know that until we got out. But yeah, I think as a queen, she probably just got caught up in being protective. And it doesn't help having a child to look after that you don't want anything bad to happen. So, her legs were kind of cut from under her. She was, but she did a good job in what she did.
Yeah, she kept the people who she felt like she needed to keep, the Amazonians, safe.
Yeah.
They train like
yeah, they train every day for
every
nothing.
Day,
for nothing. All day, every day, just in case. But it does come into play during that action sequence. This action sequence, pretty sick. We see, them jumping off the cliff and everything, and Robin Wright, dies, and it's a very sad scene. But I think just in that 10 minutes alone, she stole the show.
Oh yeah, she is responsible kind of responsible for Wonder Woman.
Yes,
And,
she's the one that tried to train her.
Yeah, she was training her behind the wishes of the queen. I guess she could do that because they were sisters, but
True.
she. I thought actually when she found out when Hippolyta. Sounds like I'm calling like my girlfriend's aunt's Hippolyta. But when she finds out, she was kind of cool with it. I thought she was going to freak out.
Yeah, me too.
Like throw her in jail or something like that.
Yeah,
it
or
was
have
just
a
like
sister fight.
It was just, but no, it was like, well, okay, since you're doing it, I need you to train her 5
times harder,
10 times harder,
till she's ever better than even you.
That was an actual clip from the movie. I know it just sounded like Angel.
Yeah, I started studying the screenplay as we speak. So I just think to recap this whole first act, it was the strongest of the movie, and Robin Wright's character was the best part. So,
was there any? Did you have any issues with the that part?
I thought maybe I wasn't a real big fan of the origin of how it was told with like the storybook with the pictures moving. I thought that didn't really fit in what we've seen from DC.
You mean when the flashback? Well, not I guess not a flashback, but flash forward to modern times when. Is that what you're talking about?
No. I'm saying when she's still a little girl and Hippolyta reads her the book, which is like, I'll tell you how you were born. And it's like the book and it's these pictures and they're moving, but it's not like real animation. You know what I mean?
Got it. Oh, yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah. The scene where they're just basically, this is where we find out why they are kind of secluded away from the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Got it.
So that I wasn't a real big fan of that. It didn't really look like it fit just aesthetically. But I mean, I understand why they had to do it, so it had to be in there. Also, when Wonder Woman's getting trained and it's like her final trial against Aunt Tippy, and she braces herself with her bracelets and does that concussive blow, and it's like.
Everyone's just kind of scared of her at that point.
Yeah, everybody's afraid.
As opposed to being like, awesome, we have a ringer.
Yeah, exactly. They just kind of look at her like she's a freak. And I think because at that point it wasn't established that these Amazonians are mortal and they can get killed by bullets and stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
so it didn't really fit.
Even Wonder Woman was mortal, and she bled when she got hit. I mean, she recovered.
Yeah, very
fast. But that they kept it a secret, her and Aunt Tippy, about what she was and how she was different.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure. This was one of those things that I really wasn't sure what made her different. I just thought going in that all Amazons were as strong as her.
I did too. I thought, and that's kind of one of the issues I had with this first scene, is that they, Wonder Woman is the strongest of the bunch, and I expected her to be the strongest of the bunch.
Yeah.
But I also expected the Amazonians to be a little bit stronger than they were. They were good warriors.
Yeah.
They were great warriors. They were flying down from cliffs and shooting arrows. They were, they did what they did. But other than that, they weren't really special. They were basically overturned. I mean, almost overtaken by a pretty small German group. Mm-hmm. So I would have liked to see that them be a little stronger. Instead of having actual hand-to-hand combat and some of them getting beat up, some of them not.
Yeah.
I thought it would have been a lot stronger if, let's say, the Amazonians were flat out beating the Germans.
Yeah.
In mostly hand-to-hand combat. And then it gets to a point, that the Germans realize they're losing, and that's when they bring out the guns. And just to kind of illustrate, that while they were strong, they didn't, because they were tucked away in this seclusion, hiding on this island, that they didn't adapt to, and mankind is kind of caught up to them as Amazonians.
Yeah. I mean, I'm okay with it. Just looking forward, if they keep it like, if I think it, because in DC, in like the animated shows, Wonder Woman ends up being like a representative of Themyscira on like United Nations front and everything. So if they do this with the Amazons, I hope they do something similar with the Atlanteans in Aquaman, where Aquaman is just a freak, and that's why he's so strong.
I'm not saying to make the Amazonians the same as Wonder Woman, as Diana. No, I'm not saying that at all. I mean, she's a demigod, right? But make them at least have some type of special ability over mankind now. Besides their amazing fighting skills, which they worked out every day, they weren't anything special.
I can see that. Yeah. I mean, I can follow that.
And I was a little disappointed in that.
You never know. Maybe now that they've fought some Germans, they're going to go back and instead of training, they're just going to come out rolling with tanks and shotguns, shooting arrows. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe. But yeah, I definitely see what you mean about having the humans catch up to them. Could have been a good thing to pull on. But
yeah. And that's kind of as a whole of this movie, one of my gripes is I felt like a lot of, and I don't know if this is because the previous 3 films, while they did well in the box office, critically they didn't do that great. I think a lot, so I don't know if it's because of that, but it seemed like they took a very easy route sometimes with some of the jokes and some of the things that happened. I was kind of calling it before it, before it was said or before it was done, and I hate that.
Yeah,
I hate that. So I think some of the times it was a little bit predictable. All movies are a little bit predictable.
Yeah,
but I felt like this more than other ones, and I have a feeling it's because they decided to go with some easy routes to make it easy. Because Batman vs Superman, the normal fan was confused. The fan like you, who does a deep dive in it, kind of understood what was going on, right? Yep. But the problem was, it was only meant for kind of deep dive, real fans of
it wasn't as accessible.
Yeah. So that's where the devices became in. So I think it was a little bit point A to point B, direct thing.
Yeah. So that being said, let's talk about what every hero needs to go against and their villains. So we have a couple villains here. The 2 main villains, Dr. Poison and Ludendorff. They're the villains throughout most of the movie up until the last 15 minutes, really. And they were kind of just there.
Yeah, I mean, they were the typical bad Germans.
Yep.
That you see in World War I or World War II movies. This is World War I. They were kind of, they were the last leg that was kind of sticking around and fighting.
Yep.
It was known kind of early into the film that the war was coming to an end.
Exactly.
But they felt like they were on the brink of Dr. Poison discovering a super gas that basically bypasses any type of gas mask kind of thing.
Yeah, which would have been very devastating, and it was a good plan. I mean, if they would have developed it, they would have won the war. You know what I mean? Because that's how most of the war was being fought at the time. So it was a good concept. I just think they weren't really compelling, Dr. Poison or Ludendorff. I thought it was weird that he was snorting those things. And I found it even weirder after we find out that Sir Patrick is actually the god of war. So that was kind of like, so is this like a super soldier serum that Dr. Poison's making?
I never once thought that was the general or Dr. Poison were Ares. Sorry, I almost said Kratos. Well, wrong god of war. So I never once thought it was them. I knew there was going to have to be a twist in the movie.
Yeah.
That was a little bit too on the nose. That's what we expected. So I'm glad they did kind of change it up and make. I had no idea that Sir Patrick was going to be the villain. So that was a good.
Yeah.
That was a good hide.
Me.
Yeah.
That definitely got me. And I think they definitely learned their lesson.
I think he was good as Sir Patrick. But Ares, there was that scene where he's kind of in the cave when he first gets banished to Earth after losing to Zeus.
Yeah.
He just doesn't look that menacing. He's a menacing guy, like in the sense of psychologically menacing.
Yeah.
But he's not a god of war menacing with his red mustache.
Yeah.
And his pale face.
Lanky body.
I mean, he was jacked up, which almost made it look weirder.
Yeah. No, I could see that. I did like how he looked in the suit. But out of the suit, he looked weird.
My mom would look cool in that suit. My mom, she walked down here right now, and she was in that suit, I would run. And she's a nice lady.
Exactly. God of love, which is, some people could say, is what Diana is, right? If he's the god of war.
I would say she's a god of truth, but
he says he's the god of truth, though.
Yeah, well, he does say that at one point. But Ares
that
is
could be
a
the
liar.
god of lies. Oh,
yeah.
Loki level.
Different mythology, but yeah.
Same ballpark. So let's talk about our good guys, especially. There's really two good people. It's Chris Pine and Gal Gadot. And
their characters are Gal Gadot. If you don't know, I don't know. I don't feel like I don't have to explain this, but Gal Gadot being Wonder Woman and Chris Pine being Steve Harvey. Steve Trevor.
Yep. And I think most of the
movie... You
movie...
get the Steve Harvey joke I just did? It messed up, Went over your head. All right, I got you.
Yeah. No.
It was bad. I know.
Could have came up with a different Steve and then been like, I just Steve Harvey'd that. And that would have been 3 Steves. I get where you're going, though. I get where you're going.
No, I like the way you did it.
So... So most of the movie is just based on Chris Pine and Gal Gadot's chemistry, and this is probably one of the most positive things that people have coming out of it, myself included.
Me, kind of.
I thought their chemistry was great together.
I thought their chemistry was fantastic. Fantastic. I thought I want every time I saw them together, I loved it. I never got a sense of real love, and I think they were going for that. I think I think that's kind of part of the pacing problem. I think I would have liked to see a little bit more. The best scene with those two was on the boat going from the island to Paris, but they cut that so short. It was basically one night they went to bed. The next thing you know, she wakes up and they're getting towed into.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of things, and I know you feel like when they had sex, it was probably rushed.
Or supposedly had sex.
They had sex. They definitely did. She read the 12 novels of pleasure or whatever it was that she was talking about.
I read a lot of 12.
What have you read, Marcus? Let's go through
when I was young in my age.
Your bookcase is over here. Let's just pull some things out.
But yeah, I mean, even that, I felt like they were attracted to each other, definitely. But a love that would cause Wonder Woman to kind of, from my understanding, she kind of just stops, loving man, or never falls in love with a man until, I guess, she meets people in the Justice League, and then she just kind of.
Yeah, Bruce Wayne, man,
and Superman,
suave. Yeah, I was never a fan of the Superman Wonder Woman relationship. I just think it's too much. Too much power.
Well, it's too obvious.
It's kind of like Jay-Z and Beyonce. Like, you guys should be spreading the wealth around. Don't just keep it all for yourselves. But no, see, this is where I don't think the focus of the movie was supposed to be that this was her greatest love. You know what I mean? I would argue that her love for her mother or for doing what she thought was her calling was greater than her love for Steve Trevor.
I think she has, but I think she chose love because of him. She chose to, at the end of the film when she was faced with either turning her back on mankind or helping them was because she loved.
Because she felt love with human, and it showed her that humanity is capable of something like this. And if they can be capable of an emotion such as love, then they are worth saving.
Yeah, but she also saw they're capable of. She saw a lot more destruction from man than I feel like the love that she got from one guy that she knew for maybe a week.
But it's like if you see just a sliver of hope, you got to hold on to it. And I think this is why people are responding to this more than Man of Steel.
I don't know why she felt like that towards him. Like, again, there was attraction, right? There was attraction between the two. But if in real life, I know it's not real life, so it's silly to even compare it. But in real life, if someone explained the situation of them meeting and kind of stuff like that, and they said at the end, "I think I love this guy," I'd be like, "You need to slow your roll."
But it's kind of like what Steve Trevor is Wonder Woman's window to humanity. You know what I mean? It's her first encounter with man, so he's basically our buffer between us.
I understand, but I just think they could have gone into it a little bit more, and I just didn't believe it. I just didn't believe. There was chemistry, but for me there wasn't love.
I think where she found love was that she was trying to do a certain thing, and she thought, men couldn't do this because of Ares, but she saw time and time again that Chris Pine was trying to do the right thing, even lying and doing things behind his superior's back to do the right thing because he knows what's right. So I think it's kind of like that. I don't think the love is just for him.
I think that's what they were trying to portray, and I think it fell flat.
See, I didn't think that's what they were trying to portray.
Well, I'm talking about the director saying that this is one of the greatest love stories in all of comic book history.
Yeah, but a love story doesn't necessarily mean between two.
No. She specifically said between gal.
Well, she doesn't know what she's talking about.
Well, she also said that there was no cut scenes. Nothing was cut out of this movie. I don't believe that either.
Yeah, 100%. There's no way every shot was used. There's deleted scenes. They're just not going to put them out, which is fine. You don't have to, but don't lie.
You don't have to lie about it.
Yeah.
Okay, we can talk about the love thing all day. I didn't feel it. We saw it with one other person. They didn't. In talking to them, they kind of
felt it.
I didn't want to say they didn't to make you feel bad. I was trying to make you feel better, but no, she did not feel it.
We'll do a side interview. Get to the bottom of this.
Yeah.
So speaking of side characters, specifically Sammy, Charlie, and Chief. Now a lot of people are saying these guys are the heart of the movie. I do not agree.
And this is where we agree.
Yeah, this is definitely just literally you fill in this plot hole, you fill in this plot point, and you fill in this one. And that's it. That's all they're there for, really.
Yeah, I really at no point cared. I mean, I feel bad, but no, at no point cared if they died. There's side characters where if they died, I'm like, oh my God. Guardians of the Galaxy. When Groot died, he was basically a side character. At that point, he was kind of a side character.
I think he was part of the team.
He was part of the team, but these people were part of the team.
Like Yondu. Yondu's a side character.
Yondu.
Yeah.
And I don't want to spoil the other movie if you haven't seen it. But something happens to Yondu, and it's sad.
Yeah.
I won't say what happens to him, but
I'll say it.
All right, go.
He dies.
I'm sorry.
It's been 2 months, okay? Oh, you know what I was going to talk to you about? A little sidebar here. I think it would have been better if Guardians of the Galaxy came out now and Wonder Woman came out then, because you could have definitely played up the Mother's Day aspect of Wonder Woman and the Father's Day aspect of Guardians.
Yeah, I can
Right?
see
I
that.
wish they could have just came to terms, switch it around. I think they could have made more money.
Each of them. Yeah. I kind of to go off of that, even though it's not on not well, it's pretty close to Mother's Day. I have not seen since the prequels of Star Wars this many people dress up to go watch a movie. Like I'm looking online.
Talking about Wonder Woman?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm looking online. Like my gym is right by the movie theaters.
Yep.
And I go to the gym every day, and I see at least a few people walking with tiaras on, with their Wonder Woman shirt. You could tell there are people that have been waiting for this.
Yeah.
For such a long time.
And I think that's part of the frustrating thing with the DCEU is that people love these characters. These are Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. You know what I mean? This is the Trinity. And for a lot of people, they've fallen flat. Not for me, but for a lot of people, I can't negate that. Divisive at best. I will say I did see a lot of people dress up for when we saw Force Awakens. That was another one.
Star Wars. I didn't see as much, but yeah,
a lot, probably because of the Hot Topic thing, but a lot of Harley Quinns at Suicide Squad.
I saw that after the fact.
Yeah,
I can't with the few Comic Cons I went to, not the Comic Con, but the offshoots.
Yeah,
we're in Connecticut.
The spin-offs.
There's one called Comic Con with two N's, like Connecticut. Get it? Mm-hmm. But yeah, I saw that after the fact, but I never saw it week one. I didn't see that.
Yeah, I was there day one.
Say what you want. DC fans are passionate.
Yeah.
I argue with them all the time on social media.
They just want something to love, man. Everybody just wants something to love.
I got it.
And that's why we love loving Wonder Woman, because she loves. And
we are totally off topic.
Is action sequences.
Oh my god! All right, well, yeah. So we're in the consensus of that. We both didn't really care about any of the side characters.
Yeah, no.
Like
Charlie was nice when he sang, and when he couldn't make the shot, and they did the shield thing.
Yeah,
but
they never played off. But they never played off of that.
About his PTSD?
Yeah.
It was just that one part where he was sleeping.
Like, I thought at one point he did. Maybe I missed it. Did I go to the bathroom or something? Did he like redeem himself at one point about shooting something?
No,
right?
He never shot anything. I mean, he was shooting, but they didn't make it like a moment where he was
where he needed to like.
Yeah, no, it was just like he was just started shooting.
And
in
I
the
felt
last
like there was
scene.
like a lot of scenes like that where it was like they could have played it up. And they were like,
And they did it. And one of the action scenes where I'm glad they didn't play it up is probably my favorite, the beginning of my favorite action sequence is the No Man's Land.
Accent sequence?
Yeah, the accent sequence. The accents were great on Themyscira.
The action sequence.
And it's the whole, right before she goes into No Man's Land, and Steve Trevor is like, he's like, no, you can't go up there. It's no man's land. No man can get up there. You put your head up, you're going to get shot down. That could have so easily been I'm no man. And she just, I'm going up the ladder. You know what I mean?
I almost, yeah.
I'm so glad that didn't happen. And that's why it worked so much better when she just like, I got to do it.
Yeah.
So, sorry. And she just did it, and it was great.
Yeah, it just kind of, that's kind of her thing. She, it's either right or it's wrong, and it needs to be fixed.
Yeah, exactly. And she has the mentality that people wish Superman had in Man of Steel.
Yeah, but I almost find that, for me at least, kind of boring. Mm-hmm. I mean the thing I like about people like Iron Man, and it's the same reason I find Captain America kind of boring, is because he's so righteous and you kind of know what he's going to do most of the time.
See, this is what a surprise where we disagree. I love it. Captain America Winter Soldier is my favorite, probably Marvel movie.
But yes, yeah. So, but that was him. He kind of was faced with a roadblock at one point, and he didn't know what to do. Help his friend Bucky, or go into, help his friend Bucky, or turn him in, or go against him, right?
See, I think as soon as he found out it was Bucky, he was still like, we're gonna stop what he's trying to do, but I'm not going to kill him.
Yeah, but there was like angst in that. There was like he wasn't like okay, like this is. I mean, I picked the side and I'm right. There was angst in him making that decision. I never felt that with, and I know that's her character. She's the truth. She's who's the
Paul
best?
Pierce?
Yeah, Paul Pierce. The truth, our truth. No, but that's her character. But I kind of find, me personally, I find that a little dull.
See, no, I love it having a character that, because the superhero is gonna do what's right anyway.
No, I think those are good. I think those are good characters as pieces. Like I think that will play perfectly in Justice League.
Yeah,
and I hope after seeing this, I hope she has a much bigger part than I thought she was going to have in Justice League.
Yeah, I mean, I think she'll have probably the same because they're basically done with the movie. But if they saw Wonder Woman being made and they saw the dailies, and they're like, all right, we need to buffer her up. That's okay. But I still would like. I think Justice League is an opportunity for Superman to become the Superman that everybody wanted him to be in 2013. But I
don't think he's going to be in Justice League very much, actually.
I think he'll come in third act, be the Messiah, be the beacon of hope. Yeah, but it'll be okay. I understand what you're saying. And like up to that point, it'll be Wonder Woman and Batman.
She will be the moral compass of the group.
Yeah,
and I think that works perfectly.
And Batman will be the hammer.
Yeah, exactly. Batman's kind of. I mean, he does things the right way, but sometimes it's a little bit in the gray area.
Yeah, that's where I like it.
He hacks cell phones and stuff. But
anything to find the Joker.
Yeah, but I think she kind of will be the moral compass. And again, I think that's a great for ensemble. For me, at least, I find it a little bit boring knowing she's going to pick the right choice every time. That's the thing I like about Tony Stark. I don't know if he's going to pick the right choice. A lot of times, actually, he doesn't pick the right choice.
Yeah, like making Ultron.
Yeah, exactly. So it's different. There's a difference between making the right choice all the time and thinking you're going to make the right choice all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Real quick, favorite action sequence, just to wrap this section up.
Favorite action sequence was No Man's Land. That whole sequence.
Yeah.
That was because we didn't see her become Wonder Woman on the island. She kind of was a spectator with all the fighting.
Yeah.
And then that No Man Land, and then she goes up, and that's where we kind of, for me, I don't know if I'm wrong, correct me. That's where we first see her in her full Wonder Woman glory.
Yes.
With the shield, the head, the crown, or what?
On Tippy's little forehead protector.
Yeah. She doesn't have that much armor.
No.
But she uses it well.
Yes.
She uses the armor very well. The little that she has, the shin guard, and then there's a big gap to her torso.
A lot of arteries in that leg that could get shot.
Yeah.
We won't talk about that. I'm gonna agree with you. The No Man's Land, more so the second half of it.
I was going to get there.
When she's coming up, it's very inspiring. But when she's
there wasn't that much action there besides bullets flying and her deflecting, and then
when
the
she's
cavalry
running
coming
through those buildings and whipping people with the lasso was super cool.
Yeah, I was glad that she used that more than just the lasso of truth.
Yeah,
I mean, glad they used both versions of it as a weapon and as a tool.
Yeah. Like to tell when people are telling the truth, especially when you're dealing with a spy who lies. And they did some things like when she was using both ends of it to like whip. Like I never thought, of course, you could use it. That. You could use it as a whip. It's when she's fighting Ares and like he's throwing stuff at her and she's like whipping both ends of the lasso like they were individual whips. I thought it was super cool.
So it's more like a rope then.
Yeah. Well, it is a rope. It's a lasso.
No.
You could tie it up into.
It's not a whip. Yeah, it's a lasso. That's right. I don't have much experience with lassos.
Yeah, we're city folk up here. So let's talk about the ending sequence. I think there was a lot of good, some strange, some weak stuff in there too. I know you had some issues, so you want to take this?
The third act was where the movie kind of fell apart for me. There's a few things. This is where we discover that the general, I can never say it, Ludendorff.
Ludendorff.
I was pretty close. She kills him, and they're still fighting because the whole premise is that Ares is behind war.
Yeah,
and war is, and he is kind of orchestrating, basically almost like possessing, these men to fight each other.
Yeah,
and that's his whole thing. He wants men to destroy themselves, to prove basically to his father that his creation is flawed. He could obviously kind of just come down. He's a god and almost destroy everything.
Exactly.
But he wanted to prove a point that his father's creation, Zeus's creation, that Zeus held at such high regard, was flawed. It wasn't a perfect making creation kind of thing. So this is where we find out that Sir Patrick is in fact Ares. And Sir Patrick, and we didn't mention this, but Sir Patrick was kind of almost funding this operation.
Yeah, the anonymous benefactor.
Yeah. He was all about it. We didn't know why. I didn't really question why. I just thought he was a good guy. So I was surprised that he kind of showed up at the end.
Yep.
And they have a big fight scene and think him as Sir Patrick, and she uses the God Killer, because up until this point we think the God Killer is the sword.
Yep.
And Ares just kind of catches it in his hand and just crumbles.
Yep.
And it kind of defeats Diana at that moment. She's defeated. Like the God Killer didn't work. Everything I've been told is a lie.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then he proceeds to tell her, nope, you're the God Killer. Like, why would you do that? He's already won. And I understand he wanted to bring her in on his side.
Yeah.
But he was still winning. He didn't need to do that. He didn't need to be like, you can actually kill me. You don't need that sword. You could do it. He could have said, look, I'm more powerful than you could ever imagine.
Unless you can imagine being more powerful than me.
Join me and help clean this earth. That whole sequence of him, telling her, join me, didn't need to him include him telling her, yeah, you could still kill me without that sword.
Yeah,
which I thought was really weird. I thought a better way to do it would be maybe a couple flashbacks to something that her mother told her, or Aunt Tippy told her, that you're special, or you have no idea the power you possess, kind of thing, and then it all clicks to her that or something like a sword is only as good as the person that wields it, kind of thing. All these lessons that she learns as a young girl clicks. It says, oh my God, I am, because she knows that she was created by Zeus.
Exactly.
Right. So it in something in that moment clicks in her and says, the sword is just a tool. I am the God Killer. I thought that would have made so much more sense. That was the smaller of the problems that I had with the final scene. The main problem I had was there were two great scenes with it was who said it first? Was it
Chris Pine?
Yeah, Chris Pine's character has this scene. And when everything's kind of lost at that moment, he kind of says, I guess she kills. It's after she kills Ludendorff, right?
Yep.
And she's confused because people are still fighting and killing each other. And Chris Pine, goes up to her and says, "We got to go. We got to say, the gas is about to take off and kill a whole bunch of people." And he says, "This is just man. This is just us. We were made We weren't perfect. We never were. I know you thought it was Ares, but this is just us. And you either have to love us for us, or or abandon us." And he didn't say that He didn't say that, but that was the gist of it.
Yeah.
And then Ares, and then after that, that's when Ares shows up after Chris Pine leaves. Ares shows up and basically reiterates everything he says. He actually goes and says, "I am not the god of war. I am the god of truth." And the truth is that my father, Zeus, created these imperfect beings. And I feel like they're ruining Earth. They're ruining it. And my job is to cleanse it. And I thought that was great. I thought that I thought those were some of the strongest scenes in the movie in general.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to her killing Ares. And then the next scene is the Germans and the ragtag team, or how do we want to call them?
The Three Amigos.
Steve Trevor's team is hugging the Germans. So those two great scenes were basically, they were just like, it made a lot of sense. We know that there's a couple more wars coming. It's World War I, there's World War II, and several wars after it. But we're gonna say it was Ares, and Ares is dead now. I don't know if they're gonna try to bring Ares back at one point, but within this movie, within this little circle, it made no sense to me.
Yeah, and I mean, say this is the difference in the subjectivity of film, because you heard that passionate diatribe from Marcus and how this really grinded his gears. Didn't really bother me. Didn't really bother me. It just, I wish I had something to defend the scene. Like, yeah, it was a little dumb. It was real dumb. But I think I like to focus more on those two great scenes. Those were great speeches. We don't get a lot of those.
But they basically, it was great because for me, it was great because it was the truth.
Yeah.
It was a truth that men are, and it's okay. I like that we're flawed. I mean, I don't like that we're in war, obviously, but we're not being controlled by some god that's pulling the strings. He's just trying to he's exposing us, but the idea of like Zeus making us and knowing that we were flawed and still loving us. And that's kind of like I'm a Catholic kid. That's kind of what I grew up, learning in Sunday school. We're flawed. We're original sin, all that stuff,
mm-hmm.
and I really connected with that scene. But then they just kind of took it away from me. I think I would have scored this movie a lot higher.
If they didn't do that.
If they didn't do that.
I mean, I understand, and it affected you so much because it affected you so much in the first part, because the first scenes didn't really affect me that much. I thought they were well done, well written, but it wasn't like this is the crux of the movie. It was just like, okay, good scene.
Well, I felt like it is the crux of the movie. It is about mankind and her dealing with good and evil, and mankind is not like, she's very black and white. It's either you're good or it's either you're Aries or you're pure, you're good.
Yeah.
And mankind kind of destroys all of that for her.
Exactly.
Right? Mankind destroys her, but she's area. This whole time she's under the impression that it's Aries. Right? This whole time that's what keeps her going. Like, if she found out that it wasn't Ares controlling it in the beginning, I think she would have been like, well, they're a lost cause.
All right, I'm gonna get a 10.
My mom was right. But it was the idea that it was Ares, and the fact that they kind of flipped it on her and gave her a choice, and she chose the right choice to still love man.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I thought that was, the important part.
Yeah, I thought that was cool, but I just hated how they said, nope, well, you're wrong again.
Yeah, I think just the hugs was a very visceral thing, and it's very jarring, and like, it's not what these people would be doing right now.
No.
So it doesn't fit. So yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
I'm just not as passionate about it as you. Yeah. But this is why you come here. You get different opinions.
What did you think about the last scene?
I thought the last scene was good. I think my favorite part of like the ending sequence was when like the bomb goes off and she can't hear. And at first I thought something was wrong when he's like trying to talk to her and she's not hearing him. and then he goes because he has to go save the plane or whatever. And then when she's about to make the decision to kill Dr. Poison or not, she goes back to that conversation and it like becomes clear to her.
I viewed it as it was our hearing that went, and it was, and she could hear it perfectly the whole time.
I think her ears were ringing too, because we've seen she is vulnerable to things. Like she did get shot by the bullet and it did graze her. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It did pierce. So I think, the ringing would affect her. So I did like how that was done. And then when she thinks about it again, she realizes what he was saying and, the watch and stuff. The watch, I will say, it was one of those things where a lot of times in movies, they'll introduce something in the beginning that's like, oh, this is going to come to play at the end. But in the beginning, when he's in the bathtub and he's like, oh, that's my father's watch. He gave it to me or whatever. Yeah, they didn't make it a big deal. Yeah. So I was
again, for me, it's kind of like the point we said earlier with the guy missing the shot. What was the Irish guy?
Oh, Charlie.
It's again, they had these kind of good setups or they had these ideas of setting it up. They either didn't begin it well or they didn't end it well.
See, I thought this was done well because I didn't want to know that, oh, this watch means everything to him. You do get that sense from that scene, but they don't like play it up.
At that moment, I just thought it was funny because it was kind of a dick joke, because he's standing there naked and she's looking in that vicinity.
Oh yeah, she's like, "What's that?
What's that?"
See, and that's a good way to hide it in a joke. I thought that was good.
Yeah, it was a good way to hide it, but I still have no idea what the meaning of it is. He could have picked that up. He could have picked that up on his way to war.
But he says his father gave it to him.
Oh, okay.
So that alone, if he took it with him to war, it's got to be important.
I think because that was such a fast moment, I didn't catch that.
Yeah,
I was probably drinking my soda, and that's the problem with having like little. There's a difference between subtle and then just kind of brushing by something really fast. Where if you don't pay attention, the full 2 hours and whatever minutes this film is.
See, this is the difference. When I don't focus on anything else. I'm just like,
no, yes you do.
I mean, it depends on the movie. Like King Arthur, I'll talk to you during it, or Power Rangers, but DC movies, I'm all about the focusing. So that's gonna do it for our little section on the Wonder Woman review. We're gonna play a little game now.
Yeah. So we are going to. Well, before that, let's talk a little bit about the praise that it's been getting from specifically Rotten Tomatoes, and it's not. And I kind of want to just kind of go over a deeper dive of what that means. 'Cause I know it's getting a 93. You see it all over the news. 93, or not news, but yeah, your news feed or your YouTube talking about 93, and it's deserving of a 93. But what's the cumulative score? I think it's 7.6.
Yeah,
7.6. So I think the movie was a great movie, but I think it's right. I think 7.5 is it. I think that's the highest score I would give it. Yeah. I looked it up. Logan, I think, was at an 8.1. Mm-hmm. So I think it's perfect, and that kind of goes into our next kind of segment.
Yep.
We're gonna play a little game. I'm gonna ask you, better or worse. I'm going to give you some comic book movies. I'm going to mix it up, some DCEU, some Marvel, and let me know if you think it's better or worse. And if you want to elaborate why, go ahead.
Okay. And just a little background. This is going to be an interesting game because I do have a weird ranking on my superhero movies. I do like some that a lot of people don't.
We'll find out. We'll find out.
See. And this is all in concordance to Wonder Woman, of course.
Yes, yeah. And this is an origin movie, so I try to keep it as origin-based as possible.
Okay.
First, let's start with her cohorts. Let's just say DC, the three DCU films before, meaning Man of Steel,
yep,
Batman vs. Superman, and Suicide Squad.
Okay.
Where does it rank within those three films? Well, I guess 4 films now.
For me, it's going to have to be 4th. I mean, not fourth. Sorry. Don't freak out. Don't freak out.
God.
Third. It's not much better. But see, I would put my rankings Man of Steel, which I've said before, 15 minutes away from a masterpiece. Second one.
What 15 minutes did you not like?
The whole sequence when he has to go to the South Indian Ocean to fight the crane or like the other world engine that's just in the water and it has the bead that come out. I hated that.
Okay.
But other than that, perfect. Number 2 would be Batman versus Superman. I was a very big fan of it. I know it's very divisive. I know.
And I think it's what we kind of went into earlier in the beginning of this podcast. Like I myself am more of a Marvel fan.
Yeah.
And you are more of a DC fan.
Yes.
You know the intricacies of Batman and the intricacies of Superman. And more than the average person. And I think the film was made for you.
Yeah.
There was a lot of things that you were catching that I didn't. And I don't, and that's good on you, but that's not good for a film.
Yeah. For a film that with a $200 million budget that you have to play towards.
Yeah. I mean, you're making this for the 85% or the 90% rather than the 10%.
Exactly. But I'm part of the 10%, I guess. And I loved it. And I would put it third.
I'm not saying 10% of people liked it. Obviously, far more than 10% liked it. But I think it could have been a critically, like just almost a masterpiece if it was played a little different.
Yeah. Yep. And that's why I like Wonder Woman, because I feel like it still keeps certain things of the DCEU that I like, but it's just a course correct. Because I've never thought that they need to do a 180. I just think, you got to move it a couple degrees and in the right direction and then go. So, I mean, it's not a slight on Wonder Woman. I think it's great. I just really, really like Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman. Like, a lot. And Suicide Squad, great for the MTV Movie Awards.
Well, I'll keep it quick for me. It's the best DCEU movie.
Yep.
It's the one that's made for the 90% for everybody,
for the everyman,
and
woman.
Yeah, I thought the storyline was very easy to follow. I thought the characters, at least the main characters, it was easy to like them. And I think by far and away this is the best DCEU movie.
It's up there. It's top 3.
Top 3 out of 4. Okay, now let's go. And I know it's not part of the EU, but the Dark Knight saga, which is kind of like DC in general, is kind of their hurrah back into movies.
Yeah.
After taking kind of a break and after some real big flops.
Yeah, after that Joel Schumacher hurrah that we had 10 years before. But if I were to rank them, I would go now are you ranking right now, are you ranking just the Dark Knight series? The Dark Knight series with Wonder Woman.
Okay.
I'm just going to include Wonder Woman in all these segments.
And this is just a game, people. Don't freak out. We know they're different. They're different genres and stuff.
Different universes, all that good stuff. But I would do Dark Knight, obviously, number 1. I would put Dark Knight Rises, number 2. Because I like that one a lot more than most. I thought Tom Hardy was great as Bane. Killed it. And then I would put Wonder Woman at 3 again. And I would put Wonder Woman at 3. And
There's a theme here.
Batman Begins at 4. I know a lot of people love Batman Begins, but for me, it's just, I'm not a huge fan of origin stories in general.
No, I hear you.
So it's like, especially Batman's origin that we know, you know what I mean? But I thought it was very well done. Yeah. But I think I like this one more because it was a different origin story from, you know what I mean, with the whole demigod thing.
Okay. Now I'm gonna jump in to the original origin story of the universes, Iron Man.
See, this is I think Iron Man is the perfect, for me, in my opinion, the perfect conduit to Wonder Woman. I think I would have said
Mr. Captain America.
Yeah, I could definitely see the Captain America thing, but I think just what it does for getting people excited for what's coming.
As far as not so much the actual storyline, but the meaning of it is what you're saying?
Yeah, like the entry point of like Iron Man, it just so happens that it was the first one, but it was one everybody, because Hulk, not a lot of people really loved, but Iron Man was the one where they're like, all right, I'm in for whatever. It was a couple months after. So it was like, yeah, I'm in for what's next. And so I think this is the first movie in the DCEU that is like that. And it's like, now people are a lot more receptive. So like, all right, let's see what happens in Justice League.
Okay, but this game's called Better or Worse, not how it's the same.
Better or worse. Iron Man is better. Iron Man is better. I think if we broke it down by acts, the first 2 acts of Iron Man are way better, and I think the third act of Wonder Woman is better than the third act of Iron Man.
I'm going to take. I'm not going to argue because in general, I agree with you. I think Iron Man is considerably better, and the reason for me why it's better is it's another thing. I'm just kind of repeating myself. Iron Man, when you meet Iron Man and Tony Stark, you don't know his intentions. He's a different guy from the beginning and the end.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still the loudmouth millionaire, hedge fund baby. Not hedge fund baby, but what do you call those people?
I don't know. Tech boom.
Whatever. He inherited his money, the spoiled brat. He's still that person. But on the outside, but on the inside, he went through a transformation. And that's what I liked about him.
Yeah. I just think for me, we remember the first parts of Iron Man, him building a suit and how fantastic that was. But the third act with Ironmonger, did you de-ice your suit? He's like, what?
It wasn't great. Okay, so we're in agreement so far, pretty much. Well, no, that's the first one we agreed on. Let's go with another one that kind of is a little bit more recent, Doctor Strange.
For me, I think Wonder Woman is better than Doctor Strange.
Okay.
I really like Doctor Strange. I just had, I had more problems with it than I did with this movie. I just think Doctor Strange the most, like, you can kind of say it about Peter Quill and you can kind of say it about Ant-Man, but Doctor Strange the most I felt like is just Iron Man light, personality wise. Tony Stark light, I should say. You know what I mean? Like, I like the beginning when he was actually a dick. Like I remember there was one part, I forget what he says to Rachel McAdams, but he says something that only a dick would say. And everybody in the theater was like, oh, like he said that. Like, you don't say that in a fight. And you know what I mean? I like that aspect, but I don't think they played into it as much as they should have.
Okay. I actually have these kind of on the same tier.
Okay. But the game is called Better or Worse, Marcus.
Yeah. So I said 3 words so far. Okay, take it easy. And at the risk of being called a Marvel fanboy, and okay, I am. I like Marvel better. Sue me. I would put Doctor Strange a little bit higher. And again, I'm still repeating myself. It's the fact that he's a different person from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about superheroes. That's why Peter Parker is my favorite superhero, because it's a journey with him, as not just on the adventure at hand, but as the person himself. Back to not Spider-Man, but back to Doctor Strange. He was doing it for all the wrong reasons in the beginning. He was selfish. He wanted his old life back, and then he kind of became he accepted his his role, in being something bigger. And again, that's just the characters in general, right? That's just how they were written from the beginning.
Yeah.
But that doesn't change the fact that I do find that kind of stuff a little bit more interesting than just, a righteous person from the get-go.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I definitely get that.
Okay. Let's do a couple more here.
Okay.
We won't go. I'm going to leave out the obvious one, Captain America.
Yeah.
Well, real quick. What would you say, Captain America?
I like Captain America a lot more than most people. I say it's better than Wonder Woman.
Okay, better. I'm gonna go with Wonder Woman on this one.
Really?
Yeah.
I think the tiebreaker for me is I care a lot more about the Howling Commandos than I do about Charlie, Chief, and Sammy or whatever his name is.
Yeah. Okay. I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
I think. You know what? I mean, when I really think about it, what I think it is I think for me it came down to expectations.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had a higher expectation for Steve Rogers, and I was a little bit disappointed. I was a little bit bored to be honest with you.
Yeah,
that's just what
I think a tiebreaker in your favor. I think the Chris Pratt Gal Gadot chemistry a lot better than the Peggy Carter.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that.
But I also don't feel like that was kind of built as much.
Yeah. Come on, Steve, save a dance for me before you go into the ocean.
All right. Let's power through these next two. Thor.
Oh. Both coming from different worlds. I really like the first Thor. I'll put Wonder Woman though.
Yeah, I'll put Wonder Woman too.
Yeah,
I think I'm skewed because it had Natalie Portman in it.
Yeah, but that chemistry was that's where it is, the chemistry, and I think Thor did the fish out of water stuff a lot better.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. With when he smashes the glass and he's like, "It's good, I want another." Yeah. Like that was great, but. The chemistry was terrible.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think it was a better chemistry. I think that's why we didn't see her very much in Thor 2.
Exactly.
And I don't think we're going to see her at all in Thor 3.
Yeah, nope. He's worlds away.
Yeah. Been there, done that. Last one. Let's go with. What do you want to do? Guardians or something like Ant-Man? I'll let you choose.
I mean, real quick, I think the Guardians one is super quick because I think Guardians is one of the best standalone movies that Marvel has done, and
I think it's top 3,
head and shoulders above Wonder Woman.
Top 3 comic book movie of all time for me. Logan is I've decided Logan's my favorite of all time. In this moment, I've decided that. It came to me in a dream. Even though my cousin, I was talking to him, he didn't really like it, so I disowned him.
What? Yeah. Twice removed now.
Twice removed. Okay, then let's do a kind of a mid-tier one, which would be Ant-Man.
Okay.
I definitely think Wonder Woman's better than Ant-Man.
I do too. I think Ant-Man is a lot funnier.
But I think the performance of the main character is better in Ant-Man.
Yeah, but I think part of that is just I think both of these movies play up these people are lovable because they try to make Wonder Woman super lovable, and Paul Rudd is like the most lovable person on the face of the earth. No. But yeah, I definitely agree that he is more endearing in the lead role than she is, even though she's very endearing, but he's just one level above. But the movies, Ant-Man, he just fights a anti-Ant-Man with long legs, daddy long legs or whatever his name is.
Kind of the problem with a lot of MCU movies is the villain.
Yeah, it's just a alter ego of the hero. But that's gonna do it for this spoiler review.
Well, I'm gonna stop you there for a second. Let's do our final thoughts in the movie. Quick 1 minute final thought.
Okay, final thoughts. I thought this is definitely a step in the right direction for the continued. If DCEU wants to have continued success, this is a step in the right direction. You get people back on board after back-to-back very divisive films. You definitely get excited for what's next in Justice League, and hopefully we get to a point where in 2019 we're going to see a sequel to Man of Steel, we're going to see Batman, and we're going to see Wonder Woman 2.
All right. If I had to describe this movie, it is a very good movie that's worth seeing in theaters. But it's also a very good movie that is elevated for 2 reasons. One being the first successful female character superhero.
Yep.
Now I've heard a lot of people say that it was the first one. It's not. Supergirl in the 80s.
Yep. 84.
Even I know people say that Catwoman is an anti-hero, but not in her movie.
Nope.
She was kind of straight-laced from the beginning.
Yep, and she has cat powers.
Yeah, and Elektra, I don't remember anything about that movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if she was good or bad, but
she had size.
But this was the first successful one, and also it is elevated by the divisiveness of the previous three DCEU.
Yeah.
So I think it is a good movie by itself that is elevated by some outside factors other than the storyline and the acting itself.
All right. Yeah, that is quite the way to drop the mic. Don't drop it. Don't drop it though. Equipment is expensive. That's gonna do it for that. That's gonna do it for our spoiler review of Wonder Woman. Thanks for tuning in. We went a little longer than expected, but hopefully that's all right. Hopefully you stuck around. You can follow us.
Hopefully you have long drives to work.
Yeah, exactly. Long ass commute. You can find us on this various social media sites at Absolutely Under. Check out our non-spoiler review and our trailer reactions at Absolutely Understood on YouTube. Find me at The Great Rambino on Twitter and Instagram.
You can find me on Marcus F. Nartatez on Instagram.
And that's going to do it for this episode. In case we don't see it, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Thanks for listening. I usually say watching.
Cue the music.